Well, I'm waiting for. Listen, to me, this is exciting because something is being moved forward. Whether it's something that you like or don't like, or want or don't want, at least it's something being discussed and put out there with a number of people who do have credentials. I mean, it's not, it's not like they're nobody. They're,
Yeah, but I mean, Steve Greer has done this before.
But Steve Greer is not, Jim Semivan
No. Steve Greer has had on real officials, and Jim Semivan, I'm sorry, doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. What happened to Grant? What happened?
I'm here.
Grant?
I'm here. I'm just
I
listening.
don't see you. Oh.
Yeah, it goes by speaker, so whoever's speaking, their picture comes on.
Well, I'm going to keep quiet. Grant, you and Dan have.
Well, okay. Yeah, go ahead, Grant.
Go ahead. Okay, so explain the Semivan, or maybe explain your posting this morning, because you said quite a bit of stuff this morning to start.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jim Semivan, he may have a driver's license, but he might show you a driver's license with his name on it, but he didn't work for the CIA.
Okay.
Now, somebody ought to have checked that.
Oh, well, how do you check that? How do you check that?
Sometimes it's hard to check.
I mean, it's like trying to check Ron Pandolfi's actual job title.
True, but you're able to ask me many questions about Ron, and you can't really ask Tom DeLonge questions. So, I mean, it's kind of because it's, I feel like a prophet in his own town. I feel like you're so close to me. You think, oh no, he's he real. He's not real. That's not real. DeLonge is further away and more untouchable. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to take this another route. Yeah, DeLonge is already semi-untouchable. You see.
Okay, so what do you take from this morning? What do you think's going on?
I mean, Ron doesn't know exactly why. I mean, this is small potatoes. This is pretty small potatoes for Hal Puthoff. And usually, he's made $200 million from the, he's grossed $200 million from the military. I don't know who knows where all that money went to.
Okay, well, why? Hal is a pretty quiet guy. I mean, I've had a couple of little interactions with him. Why would he put his face on camera now and sort of go public as the big scientist?
I agree, Grant, that there is something going on, and this is not amateur hour, and that this is not just Tom DeLonge. Someone is, and I think even more than Hal. I mean, it was a fairly smooth operation, but it's not going to get back to the White House.
Okay. So that's and how much has Ron played into this? Is he watching this effort, or?
Oh, I asked him the first day. He said, I never heard of Jim Semivan. I mean, the day you mentioned his name to me, the next day, I said, Ron, have you ever heard of a Jim Semivan? He said, no, I haven't.
Okay, but I mean, in terms of the DeLonge operation, would he be watching the DeLonge operation?
Well, okay, what Ron is the only thing Ron is really buying into, even a little bit, is the Joe Firmage operation.
Okay. And, but he's in contact with Firmage, so he would be part of. I mean, that would be sort of his thing. If he's talking to Firmage, then
he does. He talks to Firmage, and we got Kevin Oliver talking to him, and there's been a long history there of Ron and Joe interacting, and but also Joe Firmage is connected with Hal Puthoff. So you have a separation of two, or you have I mean, and Ron talks to Hal Puthoff too.
Okay. So your interpretation, let's get this again. Your interpretation is this is a disinformation operation? Because I think you had said that once before about.
No, it's a misinformation operation. It's a slightly, as Ron said this morning, he said, I'm interested in this. I don't know what he said, but there is a lot of he read one of the Huffington, I think he read the Huffington Post, Leslie Kane. He said there's considerable overlap with what they're talking about and what we're actually doing.
Okay, you'd once mentioned there was multiple teams.
Leslie Keane, I think it is.
Hey,
right?
Yeah, Kane. She pronounced it Kane.
Oh, Kane. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you mentioned once before there's multiple teams. Is there a chance that this could be good guy, bad guy? Everybody knows what's going on, and they're playing these different sort of operations.
It could be. I mean, I suspect at least one of them, besides Hal, knows that it is a deliberate and inside. It is partly inside job, is what Ron is intimating.
Okay, because let me bring up this. And I don't know if you must have talked about this. The core story was created by Hal Puthoff, Kit Green, and Jacques Vallée and the Denny's in 1987. And now we have Hal Puthoff out in camera, basically saying we really don't know what's going on. We'd like to, something's going on, but we don't really know the details.
Yeah, I mean, Hal is exposing himself more than usual, and I don't think he would have done that for $100,000. You don't do that for 100. If you have 200 million, you don't go around exposing yourself to ridicule for $100,000. Might be that simple.
Okay, and what about the multiple teams? Do you have any more insight on these?
I didn't. He asked me for the names. All I could think of was Jim Semivan. Oh, he said the other guy. Mellon was crazy. He's a real official, maybe retired, but he's no sense of judgment.
Wow. Any questions, Doug?
Well, the Jim Semivan thing still doesn't sit right with me because our mutual friend has met with him many times at his home. And
no, wait, which mutual friend?
Well, Grant, is that Chris has met with him, and
Chris
has met with him.
Yeah, and so I'm like thinking now that this is like he's met him and he's met his wife, and
he's just a guy. He's just a guy who he was like Admiral A, who just would play the game.
So he's managed to waltz into this thing and just say, "Hi, I'm going to play this game of being an ex-intelligence guy."
Yeah, I mean, there's this goes back a few years, but I mean, was recruited. Evidently, he was recruited to play a game, and Hal Puthoff is probably one of Hal's acquaintances.
And I feel that what I got out of today was that they're trying to that DeLonge is going to represent a younger generation of kids and start to shape them now in the narrative that they want to shape them in. I mean, what's his audience? Why would he be there?
Did you read the comments? I stayed on until I was knocked off, but the comments were mostly negative, except for Steve Bassett. And I was surprised. Steve Bassett was in there plugging it. I think, they got to Steve the way they got to my friend Bill. they have a third party said, yeah, Steve, this is real. This is real. You got to pay attention to this, because Bill is not a fool. And I don't think he would, unless he was trying to fool me, he sounded totally convinced that there was something going on, and that some of that Jim had similar, not that Tom DeLonge had a similar story that was what he had heard from his source, which and you probably know Bill LaParle, right, Grant?
I know.
Yeah, well, he's not a guy to fool easily.
Can I ask you, does this thing this morning change anything in your disclosure effort? What's the timetable that you have, Ron has? I mean, has anything changed?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm waiting to see. I think some people are going to wake up. I mean, it could be that Ron is lying to me, that Jim Semivan is the real deal, but that doesn't make too much sense. But it could be. And otherwise, I think we're just going to wait and see that, people. I mean, that's one thing Bill kept telling me, is that whatever's going on, Ron Pandolfi is a key honcho in it.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, whether it was a good guy, bad cop thing, where, because you have this guy from Lockheed. What do you think about the guy from Lockheed? He leaves his job, and the next day he joins Tom DeLonge's operation. Would this guy not still have a security clearance? I mean, how does this guy walk out of a?
Well, he might be one of the. I mean, Ron intimated that there was somebody in there who would be a real guy, a real.
What?
I mean, who was there like on purpose or put there?
Was he Lockheed or DOD? I thought I heard him say that he walked out of DOD, but I don't remember. Does anybody know?
I thought there was a guy from Lockheed and then a guy with DOD, but we'd have to check the.
Oh, there were several. There were several guys. One thing you notice, Jim Semivan never spoke. He never got to speak.
No.
It's a little bit odd.
He spoke in recording. He spoke in tape recording. He was pre-recorded and he spoke.
Yeah.
But you're right, Dan. He didn't speak on stage. But I'm almost remembering now, because Tom DeLonge said he was almost like in awe of the fact that this guy that was with DOD for 25 or so years is now joining their team. So it was DOD as far as my recollection goes. Okay, well, this is not amateur hour. It's not amateur hour. And Hal Puthoff wouldn't put himself on the line if it was just amateur hour. So there's something, I think there is something, it's not disinformation, it's misinformation.
Well, we'll have to do another broadcast maybe tomorrow or the next day. There's a pre-broadcast. I don't know if you watched it. It's a YouTube video. It's about 12 minutes, sort of introducing that this is coming up, the broadcast. And on there, they have a whiteboard in the background, and they have something there about portals. I'd like you to maybe get your comment later on about this pre-broadcast and the thing with portals. Okay. All right. Well, I have the link. Will you send me? I'll send you the link, yeah, and we'll maybe do another sort of to get your update on that. Again, this morning, so this morning you're basically, you thought about it yesterday. I guess you talked to Ron and. I talked to Ron this morning. Yeah. Okay. And he confirmed, does he go along with what you put on the blog this morning? Because your blog today was pretty dramatic compared to normal. Pretty dramatic? Well, it was. You said a lot more about actual. Go ahead. You not so much philosophy today, and a lot more, nuts and bolts, what the government's doing, what's going on here, this kind of thing. Well, I was mostly following up on what Ron said, but yeah, I think this is moving forward. I mean, it's a half step backwards, And what's your timetable? What for in terms of portals? What?
Well, I mean,
what
my
you guys are-
timetable is that the people I met with, I went to the house of Kate and Ted, and I forget now their last names, but they are both lawyers for NASA. And yesterday, Aaliyah sent me a picture of Kate, which she'd taken a selfie with Vice President. Now, I don't know if that was just, whether that was Kate just bragging to Aaliyah, or was Aaliyah bragging to me, or is it like, maybe you need to talk to Kate and Ted some more.
And you had your wish list that you were sort of offered. The wish list, is anything progressed on that? Of people to talk.
Well, I've read about. I was thinking of Steve Bannon would be a number one guy, but I think now my number one guy would be Steve Miller, who was basically Bannon's replacement.
Okay. Do you think it's going to happen?
And Bannon, I think, Bannon is positioning himself to replace Trump. I can't say. I was in New York on Monday and Tuesday. I was in New York with Doug, and that was. I think Ron was a little bit Lee and Ron were a little bit upset that I would like taken a secret trip to meet with Doug, but no, I hadn't. I just forgotten that Debbie was going to New York, and we didn't have any plans for lunch, so we had lunch with Doug in New York, and it turned out to be a fairly long lunch, didn't it, Doug?
It was a fun day, yes.
And I beat him. He looks like a pretty tough guy, but I could beat him in arm wrestling with my left hand.
He took advantage of my bad arm.
Oh, bad arm. Okay. Yeah.
And what's the status on the documentary? Is that still a go? Is that in the works?
Who you talking? Who?
To you, Dan. The documentary that's sort of planned, is that still in the works? That's a go?
Wait, documentary?
Well, the 6-part series that.
Oh, you mean Kevin?
That's Kevin. That's Kevin Auburn.
Yeah, but is that still a go? Is that still?
I was told, last I heard from Ron was that was basically a cover story to help Kevin get to Joe Firmage.
Oh, I see.
Because as I say, Kevin, Ron is pretending to be quite interested in Joe. And I find that a little disturbing because, Joe is such a nuts and bolts guy. So I don't know. Was this disinformation, misinformation, or what?
Do you think Firmage has a portal?
I think he has half of something. He has half of something. You can go in, but you might not come out again. I'm a little bit stirred by that. And as I say in my post, I talked to $1 million investor of his and basically told him it was all a joke. And he wasn't too happy. And I said, oh, but look, you got to meet Ron Pandolfi for your $1 million. That's not, some people would pay $3 million to meet with Ron Pandolfi.
This is this Eric character that you refer to?
That's correct,
Eric.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we go back to the presentation for a second? Grant and Dan, did either of you think that illustration that they've shown now twice, one was in the Leslie Keene's article, and now they showed it, this thing that looks like this, but it also looks like a disc and everything. Did you get the feeling that that's something that they have already created or we're trying to show you something that is existing as it is? That's the feeling I got. I think
they want us to wonder. They want us to wonder what's going on.
Why come up with that drawing of whatever that is unless it's informed by some sort of, back engineered something or other that they were alluding to, in my mind, especially telling the story of the Nimitz and the fact that this is a verifiable, real data backed event, and that it's 100% real. And then when
this was the is this what the drawing of that funny looking two-ended object was what they saw at the Nimitz?
No, it's that they linked it. They discussed what happened at the Nimitz and basically said that this is not fiction. This is a true story. And instead of some nobody in the middle of the country telling this story, it's these guys on the stage. Of course, if we don't believe that Jim Semivan is real, that discounts him. But the idea is that they go from that story and then they show that object. And did you?
Well, I'm not sure what object you're referring to, Doug.
The one you were talking about, the one that's a drawing.
A drawing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they make you want to think that that's what somebody actually saw.
Well, or that they've already, in other words, they're trying to tell you that we've already got this object. We already created.
Well, maybe so, but it's all deniable. That's the thing. Yeah. It's all deniable. I mean, there are lots of drawings of strange-looking aircraft you can get on the internet. Yeah. I'm sure you could find it on the internet somewhere. But I mean, it might be. Yeah. I mean, Ron said some of what they're selling is correct.
Okay.
Some of it's actually going on. Just watch out for the players, though. The players, the players have been around forever. Hal Puthoff's been around forever. He would know, even if he weren't taken aside and whispered in his ear, he would have heard gossip. Yeah, he would have heard some of the gossip would be real, but he would know stuff. No, I mean, I have to keep my eye on Pandolfi.
Yeah.
I mean, even my guy said, he's the one the one who seems to be in the thick of it all.
Okay.
And how did I latch on to Ron? Well, I don't know. It was an accident, just an accident.
There are no accidents.
There are no accidents. Yeah.
So Dan, you're not investing, huh? You're not throwing your financial.
Well, I mean, I think it won't go to it won't go to kill women and orphans. It won't go to kill them. So a lot of money you spend these days, you don't know where it's going to end up.
That's true.
This probably will not end up there. It might be education. I mean, I think Tom himself is sincere. I think he's a sincere guy. He just got, that's what the aviary can do. They can latch on to sincere guys and use them. I mean, they have a big team. They've got a big team, the aviary does, and they can triple, quadruple team you.
So fit in the aviary. How does the aviary fit into the story?
Well, I mean, it's Hal Puthoff.
Okay.
He's sort of the king of the aviary. So he's the main guy, and I don't. Ron keeps telling me that Hal is only a crook. He's just a crook, and I think there's more going on than that. I don't think Hal goes to Las Vegas and spends his $200 million in Las Vegas. I don't think he's. I think there's more to that story, but that's classified, and Ron can't tell me it's classified.
And once again, so you've got the portal story, and what's good? Say what would happen in the next couple of months. What do you think's going to take place on yours?
I would go first. Try to see how close I can get to Vice President Pence. I'd want to talk to him before I tried to mess with the Trump people, because I kind of want to know who was going to be backup before I started messing with Donald. And that's what Ron said. I mean, you have the video there of, on the cruise to Panama. He said, what? And Leah turned to him and said, well, what do you think about this, Ron? He said, well, Trump is going to be inaugurated in a few weeks. And after that, Dan Smith is going to be his biggest problem. There you go. Look at it. It's at the 7-minute mark in that.
Yeah.
Near the last video. Did you see it, Doug?
I have to go back and look. I got to take note of that.
I've shown it in some lectures, Dan. So people are aware of it. Yeah.
It's documented.
Oh, you have shown it in lectures.
I've showed it in lectures. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
That and his mention of the portal. When he turns to John and he said, people have always wondered what it's like to go to another world. Some of the people in this room will go into the next world and come back again.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
So,
hey, Dan, what about your physicist friend, the Nobel Prize winning person you mentioned?
Oh yeah. Kip Thorne. Kip Thorne was a schoolmate of mine at the Princeton physics department. And we're at the same time, he was, I think, a postdoc by then. And Ron said keep an eye on what he says over the next few weeks, and even keep an eye on his Nobel speech, that there may be something coming out.
that's the most exciting thing you've said all morning.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, he's Mr. Portal. I mean, you think about it, he's Mr. Portal in the physics community.
Kip Thorne.
Now, of wormholes. He's Mr. Wormhole now.
Grant, that and the fact that he beat me in arm wrestling are his two most exciting moments.
Okay. All right.
Well, so in other words, keep an eye on Kip Thorne and what he has to say.
Right. And yeah, so I mean, I would go to I mean, those are real people. I met with both Ted. I mean, I told Ted when I was at Ted, I forget his last name, Ted and Kate's house, where the Sherpa was building a drone and testing it. I think I blogged this, and Ted and Aaliyah were talking, and I raised my hand as I often do, and I said, "Princess, has Ted been briefed?" And she kind of looked at me, kind of like, and she shook her head. And he saw this, and so I said, "Well, how much time have you got, Ted?" And he said, "Well, I got 50 minutes before I have to leave for dinner." So I was ready to go. And then he started, but before I do that, you're gonna have to show you what I did for the NASA and at the Himalaya Mountains with his sons. And by that time we had to come out and photograph the Sherpa flying the drone. So, I mean, that's my entree to NASA right there. And that would be a good place to start, I think. And that's, of course, Pence's that's his main connection with this. I think Pence would have been briefed on this. I mean, it was mostly, I mean, Ron admitted mostly he was talking to Bannon and Trump, but that was back several months ago. I don't know if he's talking to Steve Miller.
Was there truth to the story that the princess was thinking of taking Bannon through the portal?
I never heard that. I never told that story or heard that story. Her taking anyone through the portal except Ron and Kashmir. Only one she's ever mentioned.
Okay.
Is there enough? Yeah. Okay. So I need to look at your link.
I'll give you a link, and then let's do this again. Maybe in a couple of days, I'll let you look it over, and let's do this again. And maybe say Saturday if you've got some time Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. That'd be great. I should have time.
Good.
Okay.
I'll be in touch with you then.
And Doug, is Doug still there?
Doug's here.
I'm here at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, but you're going to, any more questions?
Well, Dan, I can contact you later. We can talk a little bit again.
Sure. Yeah, we can just talk on the phone,
Yeah.
on the phone.
Old-fashioned phone.
Old-fashioned phone.
Beautiful.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you,
guys.
Dan.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, Grant. Thanks. Grant, you still there?
Hang on, I'm trying to turn the video off, or the tape off here. Okay, no, hang on. What the heck?
Yeah, it still says recording.
Shit.